Today I'm taking you with me on a journey through centuries inside one of the most extraordinary places in Sicily. A complex that blends faith, science, distraction, and rebirth. And the best part is that you can explore the monastery and church for free. In the historic center of Catania, in Piazza Dante, stands the Monastery of San Nicolò l'Arena, one of the largest Benedictine monasteries in Europe, second only to the Mafra National Palace. And the name l'Arena doesn't come from a modern arena or stadium. It actually refers to the ancient Roman amphitheater that once stood nearby. Its story begins long before this monumental complex existed. Back in the 12th century, on the slopes of Mount Etna, a small religious site was established and later expanded under Frederick III of Sicily into an important monastic center. Over time, it gained wealth, influence, and royal protection, eventually joining the Benedictine Cassinese congregation approved by Pope Sixtus IV. But life on the slopes of Etna was never safe. Repeated eruptions, earthquakes, and even the threat of bandits forced the monks to abandon the mountain. They sought refuge inside the fortified city of Catania, and in 1558 they began building a new monastery within the city walls. As their power and resources grew, the complex expanded dramatically during the 17th century. But in 1669, disaster struck when Mount Etna erupted violently, burying parts of the monastery in lava and destroying the original church. Then, just a few decades later, in 1693, a catastrophic earthquake devastated eastern Sicily, collapsing much of the structure and killing most of the monks. Yet, from this destruction came rebirth. Starting in 1702, the monastery was rebuilt on an even more ambitious scale, under architects such as Andrea Amato, Giovanni Battista Vaccarini, and Stefano Ittar, transforming it into one of the finest examples of Sicilian Baroque architecture. Stepping inside the church of San Nicolò l'Arena, you immediately feel its scale. It's one of the largest churches in Sicily, larger even than the city's cathedral. Its monumental interior is inspired by classical Roman architecture, while the unfurnished facade outside adds a raw, almost haunting character. Inside, you also find deeply rooted local traditions, such as the famous candelone, towering wooden ceremonial structures richly decorated by artisan guilds, each representing a different profession. They are carried through the streets during the Feast of Saint Agatha, one of the most important religious celebrations in Catania. Across the floor runs a long meridian line, a monumental sundial that tracks the movement of the sun with remarkable precision, blending science and faith in a single space. There is also a solemn memorial area dedicated to fallen soldiers of the First and Second World Wars, currently under restoration. Moving beyond the church into the monastery itself, the scale becomes almost overwhelming. The complex stretches across a vast area surrounding the church on three sides, enclosed by high walls that once separated monastic life from the outside world. Inside are enormous courtyards, cloisters, and corridors stretching for hundreds of meters, connecting spaces designed for both private reflection and communal life. Refectories, kitchens, libraries, and monumental staircases, all decorated in rich late Baroque style with masks, floral motifs, and mythological figures. In some areas, the architecture even rises from soul-defined lava from the 1669 eruption, later transformed into elevated gardens, a powerful example of how destruction was turned into creation. Over time, the monastery evolved far beyond its religious origins. It became a cultural and intellectual center, housing important collections of books, art, and scientific instruments. In the 19th century, the monks were forced to leave, and the complex was repurposed for civil use, as barracks, schools, observatories, and libraries. It was later damaged again during World War II and eventually restored by architect Giancarlo De Carlo. Today, The complex belongs to the University of Catania and houses the Department of Humanities. What makes it truly special is that it remains open and accessible. You can simply walk in and explore. For me, it's one of those rare places where you can sit down with a book and feel completely outside of time. A quiet corner in the middle of the city where history isn't behind glass, but all around you. Because here, every wall, every corridor, and even the ground beneath your feet tells a story of destruction, resilience, and rebirth. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Walking the World. Please like and subscribe. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and keep living your best life. Ciao.